Life is Strange was released by games company Square Enix in 2018 after 4 years of production and sold over 3 million copies worldwide. It was met with mixed reviews after the success of the first game, with many fans being angry that there was no continuation of the original storyline as they were attached to the main characters. The second game, however, paid homage to the first game by having main characters, Daniel and Sean, look at a now destroyed Arcadia Bay, but apart from that was a completely new storyline, except for Daniel's powers, which were very similar and within the same realm of Max's from the original. The Life is Strange series is an adventure game which is part of a new style of gameplay called the Butterfly Effect, which originated with the game Until Dawn in 2014, which then continued to be a successful series of games. This type of gameplay allows the audience to choose the fate of the characters and where the storyline goes. This encourages the audience to play through the game multiple times to get different endings. Some examples of Butterfly Effects games are The Quarry, The Impatient, The Dark Pictures, and Detroit Become Human. Games company Telltale Games also created some Butterfly Effect games, such as Tales of the Borderlands and The Walking Dead games, which were very successful game series with a unique style of animation. This new genre has become very popular, with sites such as Netflix trying to incorporate similar methods in their filming, with multiple choice films such as Black Mirror's Bandersnatch. This was popular at its release, but this genre of interactive film has nowhere to go except developing back into games. The butterfly effect was first noted in the 1960s by Edward Lorenz, a meteorology professor at MIT, but it was only made into a form of entertainment in 2014, almost 55 years later. Melnick states that the idea came to be known as the butterfly effect after Lorenz suggested that the flap of a butterfly's wings might ultimately cause a tornado, and the butterfly effect, also known as sensitive dependence on initial conditions, has a profound corollary forecasting the future can be nearly impossible. Both Life is Strange and the Until Dawn series play homage to Lorenz by having butterfly imagery scattered throughout the games and by having characters such as Alan the therapist in Until Dawn explain Lorenz's theory. The players of the Life is Strange series often fall into the same political groups, but this is amplified in the second game, with players being able to choose things such as sexuality and views on drugs. This diverts from usual video games, as they almost always follow a heterosexual norm, with exceptions such as The Last of Us 2. This, as a female audience member, made me connect more with the game, and made me have a more positive view of the games company, as bisexuality is not often represented in media. A sign of positive audience response is also shown through the art made of the characters, and this art also shows the relationships the audience cares about most, and reinforces Square Enix's skill of creating characters that the audience cares deeply for. In the game, you are also given the option to drink and take drugs, which has an effect on your gameplay and how your younger brother Daniel sees you, which can affect which ending you get. At the beginning of the game, Sean gets offered some weed, which leads to a later irony when you're working on a weed farm to get by. The game also counteracts stereotypes by having the characters who take drugs be the most inviting and caring to the two boys, whereas the radical church group attempt to turn the brothers on each other and forcefully separate them, which leads to a shooting and burning down of a church. This links to the overall theme of the game, as Stulberg states, Life is Strange 2 is better. Conflict originates from society rather than just one bad guy. This concept of having no villain contrasts with the original layout of most video games. There is usually always a hero and a villain, a Link to a Ganon, or a Batman to a Joker, or at least someone to root against, but in the case of Life is Strange, the only real threats are police brutality and religion. This is established at the beginning of the game, when Sean and Daniel's dad gets shot by a police officer in a racist attack. This theme of police brutality continues throughout the game, and has its foundations due to the family being Hispanic and having the fear of being a person of colour in an institutionally racist country. This theme, however, does attract a liberal audience, with the Black Lives Matter campaign gaining affluence in 2013 and police brutality being more recognised within society. Despite the game's progressive views, it has received a lot of criticism, with critique sites such as KingLink Reviews stating, "The fact is, Life is Strange 2 struggles from a really bad issue. It's a sequel to a successful game, but it chooses not to do anything similar to the original game. It doesn't want to tell a mostly linear story with characters that evolve over 5 chapters, and that players get to know and start to care for. Instead, it wants to focus on only 2 characters and their journey. It is still using the Life is Strange name, so it's associated with an established franchise, but then does something so radically different, and for that, it's hard experience to judge. Even if players are accepting of a massive change in the theme and storytelling, Life is Strange 2 struggles to justify its existence. Where Life is Strange told an excellent story, and before the story explored their characters, Life is Strange 2 just can't measure up to either title. This theme of sequels not being able to live up to the original is a common film and gaming trope, as nostalgia plays into it. Even if a second film has a better storyline, character development or aesthetics, the audience still will like it less, as they have a perfect image of the original in their mind, so the second will never be able to live up to it. Overall, Life is Strange 2 is an amazing game with lovable and engaging characters and progressive views, and with a new outlook on villainy. But due to nostalgia, it will always be criticised for not being as good as the first game, no matter how well it is made.